Ari Fleischer, the former advisor to the second President Bush, has said that he can see, and he's in favor of immigration reform, he's said that he can see a path for it in the second 2 years of the second term. Basically, the idea being Republicans don't need to pass immigration reform to keep the House and possibly win the Senate. But there are a substantial number of Republicans like him who think they do need to do something like that to win the presidency again. And so once the political season shifts, the politics of that bill could shift. Do you all put serious stock in the idea that immigration could pass? Or does it feel like all the other things that sure, there's some way it might pass, but like gun control, like fixing Obamacare, like all these things, in the end, it's overwhelmingly unlikely to happen?
Right. I mean, I'm not a political genius, but I'm surrounded by them. And what strikes me about the political geniuses is that Congress and what it's going to do is generally beyond their comprehension and ability to predict. I remember, Rahm Emanuel is about as good at understanding Congress as anyone. And he used to be, my office in the White House used to be right upstairs from him. And he called us the Aspen Institute, which was, I don't think it was a term of high respect coming from him.
It was a brotherly rival thing.
Larry Summers retaliated by labeling him and the hallway that his office was on Tammany Hall, which I think he took as a compliment. But I remember one thing was, well, the famous one is the Affordable Care Act, which he thought wouldn't pass. Another thing was teacher jobs. We had passed teacher jobs as part of the Recovery Act. If you look at one thing that's made this business cycle more challenged compared to previous ones, I think the number one thing is state and local governments have cut back really sharply, as opposed to previous business cycles where they leaned against them and helped get you out of it and stayed steady. We wanted to do another round of teacher jobs. Rahm said there was absolutely no chance it would ever pass, impossible, never, ever, 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 ever. So we sort of did it as a lark. Then they decided it's not going to pass, but they'll bring it to the floor of the Senate just to prove whose fault it was that it wasn't going to pass. They brought it to the floor of the Senate, and it passed. The House had already gone off for August break. Nancy Pelosi flew everyone back because it matters a lot for teacher funding, whether you sign it into law August 1st or wait till September. She flew the whole House back. She passed it. We signed it into law and helped prevent an awful lot of teachers from getting laid off that next year. That's something a really great political mind didn't see coming. Last year, a lot of great political minds thought there was nothing we'd ever do about the sequester. We were completely stuck with it. Turned out Paul Ryan didn't really like the defense cuts in the sequester. That motivated him to get together with Patty Murray, who told him there's no way you're getting rid of the defense cuts unless for every dollar you buy out of defense, you buy out $1 of non-defense. And don't worry, I'm willing to pay for all of it. So we'll cut the deficit over the medium and long run at the same time that we're investing more in education infrastructure. That was the type of logical no-brainer that, like a lot of logical no-brainers, somehow people figure out how not to do until they figured out how to do it. And they passed that in December. We bought out 60% of the sequester, and we have less severe cuts in education and infrastructure than we otherwise would have. We certainly don't have enough investment in education and infrastructure, but we had something a lot of people didn't predict. So I try to be there with the plans, there with the ideas, there with the ways to bring things together, solve the problems, figure out something that works, and you never know, when they'll come around or when they won't.